Leadership is transforming the mining industry through bold vision and strategic innovation. Today's guest is a pioneering executive who brings decades of experience into mining operations and strategic leadership, having served as CEO at one of Africa's largest coal producers. Today, we explore her leadership journey and the challenges and opportunities facing mining leadership in today's global complex landscape. Dr. Nombasa Tsengwa is a visionary leader who has dedicated her career to transforming the mining industry. Her 22-year journey at Exxaro saw her rise through various executive roles, including General Manager of Health and Safety, General Manager of Coal Operations, Executive Head of Coal Operations, and ultimately becoming the CEO. Her exceptional leadership has earned numerous accolades, including the Top Woman Award, recognized as a leader making a difference, being named a pioneer in transforming the mining industry, and Africa's most influential woman in business and government. Today, she opens up about her career journey, her transformative years at Exxaro, her exit from the organization, and her transition to new opportunities. This is a story of leadership, resilience, and the evolving future of mining. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Nombasa, and thank you so much for joining us.
No, I'm very happy to be with you today.
Sure.
Yeah.
From the rural Eastern Cape to the world, let's start with your upbringing and some of the values that carried you from then till today.
Well, taking me back to one of the most healing space for me is when I'm back at my roots, at my home, in a place called Nchachongo. And that's where I was born and bred.
Sure.
And we were 7 children and I'm number 5. So I'm very much in the middle.
Yes.
But I must say that I was probably very lucky for the parents that I had.
Sure.
Because the father and the mom are very complementary in their character. But let me start with Dad, because Dad is the one that really instilled in us the value of success.
Sure.
And he was a man who also never liked ihlazo, ihlazo being embarrassment. Just never wanted to be embarrassed. And my dad would do everything not to embarrass himself and the family. So my father being a teacher, a perfectionist, a very brave man.
Sure.
Very warm, bubbly, and most people say that I've taken his character. So our dad was always a stickler for success.
Sure.
And said he could only accept position 1, 2, and 3 in anything that we do.
Sure.
And if you are 3, you need to tell him why it was not 2. Why was it not 1? But he was a teacher to us as well, to give us that discipline to start stuff and finish it.
Yeah.
So that.
Sure.
And we were also very good friends. Whatever my dad may have done in his life, good or bad, he shared it with me and accepted my side of the story. And I would give him feedback in earnest. And he would try and explain and try and convince me to see his side as well. So we had a very good relationship as friends, as a father, but somebody I looked up to in terms of really pushing high standards and really making sure that I made him proud, by being a great performer in whatever I do. Now, Dad also had a slightly interesting belief, which was a traditional belief that his girl children may not go far.
Sure.
But his boy children were the scientists who can go and be big things out there in the world. And I think it was that old thing that as a girl you get married and kids and boys do. But I think that gave me a second, I would say, characteristic of I will prove people who don't believe in me wrong.
Sure.
So that was my father. Mom was a quiet person, a lady of note, a beautiful woman, and very strong. bright. She's the one who actually used to have these awards at school.
Wow.
She was a nurse, retired nurse. She stayed with us. But one big thing I took from my mother was studying nature.
Yeah.
Always following her around when she did her gardening. And she used to get these, I'd say there was competition for gardening in our village in Nanchachongo. And she would top, in that competition. She was very good with her hands. So gardening, she even gave me a little patch to have my own garden, which I really emulated her. So that balance of a person who does things by hands, the love of nature, and then this whole issue around success.
Yeah.
And everything that I've been doing in my life, I always see nature in it, and the explanation around nature and being at the forefront of nature, which is my dad and then my mom coming together.
Sure. And actually that speaks a lot into the careers that you took, because if one looks at your career, it spans across different fields. I mean, you started as a genetic engineer, you move into education, then the environment space, right into mining. And I know you always wanted to be a pharmacist at some point.
Yes, indeed.
But I think two things that stands out for me in your career journey and your transitions, that is fairly common. It's your excellence, where you show up and you do well, even when you transition. And also the value that you show in building genuine relationships. I mean, that maybe reflect on your career path and these two aspects that are seemingly showing up in all these spaces.
Look, again, go back to the roots to say you start something, you finish it.
Sure.
So you go into varsity and you end up, whether it's fate or whatever it was, but again, biology. Because my major was botany zoology, taking me back to my mother's garden and taking me back to nature. And obviously, when you go beyond masters, you've got to choose a field.
Sure.
And for me, that was genetic engineering. Just for the love of Africa, and say, Africa is about dependence on crops such as maize. And maize was the choice for me to look at and see whether we cannot improve these different strains of maize so that they can withstand the conditions of Africa.
Sure.
Because we've always known that there would be drought. We don't have good soils in this part of the world. A little bit more north of us, yes, there could be. But I wanted to make sure that the maize that is grown in this part of the world at least is adaptable to the conditions. Sure. So that was my love as I came out of varsity and doing a PhD in America. Again, finishing what you do, start and finish. So here I am, I come back, I've got a PhD. All I knew when I came back was that I'm very disciplined. If anybody hires me, I'm going to do a good job. And again, the standards are set. My father always gave us that view that you've got to, step up. Sure. You've got to show up.
Sure.
So that was for me a no-brainer, I would say, that it had to be what makes people want to choose you is going to be the way you show up.
Yeah.
If you don't want people to ignore you, there's something that is going to be different, isn't it?
Yeah.
In how you show up. Being a magnet of opportunities, being a magnet in terms of being able to engage people. Because you're going to work through people. So the issue of relationships becomes so super critical because you can't succeed on your own. Again, you want to do everything well. You've got to understand what are the tools that are going to make you get to the point of success. There's something else that also we learned from our home. Our home was like I would say a old age home, because my dad would bring in everyone who's not well from his family. They would come to our home. It was like an orphanage. So he would bring children that were our relatives, our cousins, even far distant, distant cousins that came and lived with us. So in our household, you should have seen during lunchtime, my mom never had less than 20 plates and dishes for everybody who was in the home. So we were never allowed in my household to say, this is ours, it's not theirs.
This is mine.
We were always being taught to be inclusive. Even the worst uncle that is staying with us, we've got to love him, we've got to show the love. So for me, there was that in-tuned way of relating to people from my upbringing. So it came to good use, when it came to working with students at the University of Pretoria, because that's where I started my career after coming back from varsity. So I had to use those skills to connect with people. Because how does it feel when somebody knows your name and is a senior person? You meet your CEO in the lift.
Yeah.
And he says, wow, Mahlono, how are you doing?
Yes.
How does that make you feel?
So
great.
funny, yeah.
And then they start asking you about your daughter, and they know the name of the daughter.
Sure.
So those things for me were very important, and they've really worked for me. And let me share an experience for me in my journey. And this is now after I've gone through being a lecturer at University of Pretoria. It's still about me. You're working hard, you're gung-ho, you want to succeed. You don't even know that people are not happy with what you just did because you're not noticing what matters in people. But I think as I went into senior levels and I finally reached Exxaro, it was Kumba Resources at the time. And this is now 2003. I walk into this place and I say, I'm going to be CEO of this place. Nobody tells me this.
Sure.
I'm going to be CEO here, but probably at 45 I'll be CEO here. Because there's always been this self-importance that I had. And this is that I felt I was also preserving. Because if your dad says you can't be less than number 3, and you've got all these values, there's something in you that must be important, isn't it? So you feel it. And I always felt this importance, and I thought, okay, I'm going to be CEO, because probably that's how I'm wired. So here we are in this organization where I arrive and I find so many talented people, so many engineers. They were leading in a very special way of really putting people first. Remember at the time, Dr. Konfokonia was the CEO, and I looked at this gentleman and I said, wow, I really want to lead like this guy because I feel so warm around him. I don't feel junior. And this is how I need to make other people feel. So that showing up, was really created, really in the early days also of being at Exxaro, growing into being a senior person and wanting to make sure that, you are not just a leader by power, but also leading because of your personality and making your character to attract others to want to work with you. But I was never always successful in this, by the way. So you come into a place, everybody's clever, people are all shining. And I happen to be the first most senior Black woman to be appointed in Kumba Resources at the time. So there's an added pressure of really having to prove yourself and not wanting to lose position. And you like where you are. And because you want to prove yourself, you just came in. You don't always make it to work through people as you should. And I picked this up very late after being the GM of health, safety and environment. I'm like, wow. And it happens in a very painful way. That there is a 360-degree assessment about our leadership where you had to be given feedback. And I didn't get the best feedback the first time it was done. But it was done slightly late. Already I was looking to go into operations. And then the most painful part was when my own executive personal assistant did not want to do an interview to give a view about my leadership.
Sure.
Why would she be fearful to tell the truth?
Sure.
Then I learned something about myself to say, I need to do more.
Yeah.
I need to do better.
Yes.
I need to show up better.
Sure.
But the most painful was when my team didn't want to do a farewell for me when I was moving to operations. It was as if they were so happy to get rid of me.
Yeah.
Like, good riddance. So
Bye.
that hurt me.
Yeah.
And I didn't go into a situation of hating and pointing.
No.
I said, I must go within to see what is it that I'm not doing. Then I realized that, yes, I was doing well, we were doing well, but it was about me a lot, about me succeeding, not about all of us succeeding. So these are the stories in my journey that have really taught me to see people and to see what is it in you that we need to harness so that we are better, and what is it in you that we need to build so that we can have a complete individual that is ready to take my job, for that matter. I got obsessed with this, by the way, and it became my weapon, or I would say my enabler when I went into operations, leading men and women who knew better than me, where respect had to go first. Service had to come second, and say, I'm here to serve you, because I realized that's when I get the best results out of people. I'm not here to compete with you. You are the miner. I'm not a miner. I've come to learn from you. I'm here to just lead you. I happen to be better at leading people. So can we partner in this context? And people like that, that you give them the space. And then you say, I also want to be the best representative of you when you're not in the room to present yourself. And that's where people really became, I would say, my rock, my support, and relationships. I realize actually when we get to this level of technical, you have.
Yeah, you've done it.
You're a mining engineer. Who's going to take that from you? But it's just going to be, how is that working for you? So how does it work for you alone? It's okay. But if you're going to be working in teams, working with other individuals, you've got to look at them as the creators of success, not you. So that's really where this issue of relationships and how important they are in leadership. Critical.
Look, your journey into mining, and you started in the environmental space, and I know you were the Deputy Director General in Environmental Affairs. Maybe just talk to us about the work you did there and how that later became a game changer for Exxaro and the industry once you entered.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there you get in, look, I was quite young.
Yeah.
And I remember one lady saying to me, does your mother know where you are? And she's like a junior person.
Yes.
So I realized that, the leadership being, you look young. In fact, there was even a group who didn't even believe I had a PhD in the same thing. So it's so much fun to start at that level. But when I arrived in that department, I was very lucky to have a very wise boss.
Sure.
Who was the DG.
Yeah.
Chippy Oliver. And the minister was Vali Musa. The two of them were committed to creating lasting change.
Sure.
We found legislation of the 60s, even before I was born, were still being used in the country.
Sure.
And we had to really set I would say, standards, more from a legislation point of view, that said, we are shifting from the old way of doing things. And we're getting into I would say, an era of responsibility, where you take ownership of the environment, whether you are at home, you are at work, you are young, you are old, all of us have a right to a clean environment.
Sure.
So we had to put all of that into legislation, into policies, so that they can be practiced and implemented by the likes of the mining industry. Or let me say even the most polluting industries like your ESCOM.
Sure.
So that was for me a game changer. Because I was in a new environment, not longer science and being in the lab. It was really about thinking about the good of humanity. It was about taking that, my understanding scientifically, and how we translate that into law so that it can be practiced by the citizens, by the industry at large. So that for me was a very interesting discipline. I remember one of my really highlights was when we developed the plastic bag regulations. To an individual, actually plastic, you're going to buy it now. It's no longer
that was you.
That was me. Now you're going to because it was like a national flower everywhere. You go in you go into the townships, you see this plastic bag everywhere.
That worked.
And you work with a minister that is so enthusiastic and is a good leader and is ready to run and say, guys, when are we going to talk to the labor movement? When are we talking to? So I learned stakeholder management because we had to bring in labor, because they were all of a sudden now their jobs were going to change because making plastic bag is going to be expensive because you've got to make it thicker.
Yes.
First of all, we had to make sure that it's thicker, so that it can be reused and it's going to be sold. So we had to deal with so many unhappy individuals in that context. Other regulations which were popular during our time was this burning of driving on the beach. There was that story where we couldn't allow any driving now closer to the beach because you're messing up the environment there and, destabilizing the ecosystem, which is, the coastline. And taking out even some of those illegal houses that were built, during the apartheid time. People, especially more the white people, we don't know why they ended up obviously living along the coast. And we found that some of those houses were not even authorized, so they were outlawed. So we had to do all of that. But if you look back and say, it was worth taking the time to fight for new air pollution regulations. Now an ESCOM cannot just continuously, pollute. Then they commit to a plan that's going to mitigate because of what we all now today know as climate change. We were dealing with climate change those days. And to tell people why you didn't want them to spew carbon dioxide into the atmosphere was so difficult to explain. Hence we said, let's start then going through legislation. We set the right foundation. We build the value system for people to appreciate how a cleaner environment can provide for a greater future. And I think that the country has done very well.
It has. And Doc, Exxaro then became a leader when it comes to issues around ESG.
Absolutely.
And maybe share with us, how did you manage to steer the organization to uphold and prioritize
that was a difficult one, I must
sustainable practices?
Not difficult, but you've got to show the results to engineers. You've got to, the square must be shown, That's our engineer. You can't say it's good for them. It's good for you for what? Can you just make sure that you quantify what it means? But fortunately, I came to an environment that safety and health was already ahead, right? And it was legislated and very easy to take the safety and health legislation and implement. But on the environmental side, it was not easy. The reason it was not easy was that even within the organization, there were no experts on environment. When you talk to water specialists, they will go and find somebody on the internet somewhere, and they will get a consultant who doesn't have a clue about what we call Chapter 6 of your EMPR or your Environmental Management Plan. Chapter 6 of your EMPR is everything that you need to do.
Sure.
It's all your plan when you close the mine, the standards that the department or the authorities will measure success is in your Chapter 6.
Sure.
So that's where I first taught them, because I used to approve the EMPRs.
Yeah.
And I used to look at them, and we knew, what needs to be done in there. So now I'm on this side, and I said to them, listen, we are going to resource ourselves according to Chapter 6.
Sure.
It's going to cost you, but if you think about it, we are going to start rehabilitating this mine from an environmental perspective. From the day one, we start operating. So we integrate all those remedial actions into everyday mining activity, including making sure that we've got the capacity, we get people in.
Yeah.
We will have them daily, and we'll pay them a salary.
Sure.
And they become part of the system. And we're not going to feel this pain that we're doing things because the inspector is coming tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah.
So firstly, what we did was to really quantify quantify the resources that were required, and really convince up to the board level what the new law meant, which I had been part of developing.
Yes.
What the implications and repercussions of not following, and showing them a solution and costing it. That's the one thing they love, that show me the problem, but give me how much it's going to cost.
Yes.
So we were very lucky that I got a good team, and I had 3 PhDs in my division. I was the third, actually. Sure. So I got a gentleman that had been very good at the environmental side of things. So I got a lady who was from the health side of things, also a PhD. Yeah. And we put a very good, I'd say, management regime to show, cost it, show the benefits, and started putting a scorecard.
Yeah.
So that's how we started. Sure. Before we got to sustainability, for instance, we'd say, our journey is going to be first compliance. Because we knew that if you're going to go to sustainable level, then we are really going to be asking for too much. Sure. But you say we're going to start, our first level is going to be compliance to the law. When we comply to the law, then we're going to go beyond and make sure that we go outside our mine gate to include community, so that prosperity is not only within us, it also goes out there. This is where now the aspects of social development became bigger. Developing new enterprise, especially the youth, enterprises that along our supply chain, we can start bringing in women to make our PPE.
Yeah.
We can start now bringing in other people to manage our waste on the mine, so that this becomes a nice ecosystem on its own. When they started seeing that and piloting on one of our mines, which is Grootegeluk, our flagship mine, we started piloting these ideas around ESG. Sure. Doing models to show, if we don't do this, what is going to be the implications? But one of the biggest, I think, penny that dropped really is when we said, if you don't rehabilitate and you wait till you close the mine, this is how much you're going to pay.
Sure.
In addition to what is in the provision that you have to make by law anyway, environmental provision for rehabilitation. But if you do your ongoing rehab from day one, by the time you get to the end, this cost is almost close to nothing.
Sure.
The time you're going to take to close the mine and say to the government, listen, I've done what Chapter 6 of the EMPR is asking me to do. So when I brought that logic they were quite comfortable.
Sure.
Because they realized that, okay, this is science. It's not just, this. Yes, it's not exact science, but, it really helped give perspective.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi there. I hope you are enjoying the conversation. If you have not yet joined the Mining Insight community, please do so by clicking on the subscribe button. Would love to grow this community with you. Also, we love hearing from you. Drop us a comment and let's keep engaging. Enjoy the rest of the conversation. Look, there's actually even growing emphasis on your sustainability, and particularly looking where we are as an industry, talking about transitioning.
Yeah.
And it's not an organization thing. It's not that company does this, that and that is what they're doing. It's supposed to be an industry thing. But I really don't see much cohesion in that regard. I mean, there is, efforts being made, but they're very sporadic. You can't really take it into one box and measure the industry.
Yeah.
How do we journey together in this journey, including junior miners, where we can be measured as an industry?
The hope we have is the Minerals Council.
Sure.
The Minerals Council has got the environmental desk.
Yeah.
They've got health. They've got a safety desk.
Yeah.
And I think the sustainability is becoming even more emphasized now. So, and what I like now is the fact that if there are issues that are regulatory related, that impact the industry negatively, we always do it together through the Minerals Council. So for me, using the Minerals Council as the anchor for measurement, which if you want today to know how many companies have got licenses for, or a water use license. How many don't, how many do. At least you can get that information now from the Minerals Council, and they can follow up to help government to say, we shouldn't be having this gap. Even on safety stats, they will give you the stats on health and all of it. So I think things have improved quite to a certain extent. Junior miners is a different story. And I think we need to really make sure that we assist them, because to look after the environment is costly. You still need to have, sample your water. You need to still have your air quality detectors out there to make sure that, you're able to say, what, I'm complying, I'm not complying. They don't always have that infrastructure. But why don't we share? If we sit in the same basin, why can't we share those resources if another mine has it? So those are the kind of things you need to think about. When you pollute in an area, you ask, let's say you are Matla mine. Here's the Matla power station. You probably polluting the water, you're probably doing certain, look, you've got your fugitive gases, that runs off your operations. You can combine your resources with the next door neighbor who's probably smaller mine or junior. You can always, as I say, pool your resources together to make sure that, you get the better good of the environment, because you can't say, I'm standing in front of the mine, I can see where my plume is going. You see? And then I thought, no, my plume went that way.
That's not mine.
The plume, you see? That's really makes science. Yeah. So I think it makes sense. Working through the Minerals Council in terms of measuring and making sure that we keep to the law and go beyond to be sustainable, but at the same time pulling resources together in the regions where we operate to help also the junior miners. Nothing wrong with that. I know junior miners have got a desk as well within the Minerals Council, which needs to be really strengthened so that they can also be well looked after as well.
And just on the just energy, Doc, you are very strong about the just part of things. Like, you are very clear. Maybe just share with us around how we can practically not leave communities behind. It's good and well that we've got to be just, we can't leave everybody else. But practically, if you look at the skill set that's required when you're fully changing to the renewables and what we have currently in terms of skill sets, that's quite different.
Absolutely.
So how would you advise us at this point to sort of do to ensure that even as we transition, it's quite practical in what we've got to do now?
You see, the basic for me is just understanding as well what they call you do your baseline, just a simple baseline of your pollution as a company. Even before you talk to anybody else, it's another space. It's the same as what I said. When I arrived, there just were no skills to do that. So even that is a science on its own. And that's something that I think we need to strengthen as organizations. But let's talk about the communities themselves.
Yeah.
And you're going to say to the community, listen, this mine may have to end before its life or end of life because of something called climate change.
Sure.
And you're talking to people who've never had electricity in their house. It's a difficult story. So it's going to have to be an engagement of communities with an understanding that it's going to take time. Because if you look at the mining, the coal industry itself employs so many people. And the people you employ, I think it's the third, after platinum. I think the first is gold or platinum, and then we're third as coal. If you are going to say, now we are transitioning, firstly, you've never seen electricity, but you are no longer going to get electricity from the source that we all know. That has been relatively cheap for you for decades. Now you are shifting them into a different system, and that also could impact on jobs. People take that to heart. Anything else you say,
they can't hear.
They don't hear. Climate change, what are you talking about? You're just being, sophisticated here. So for some of us, and I always say this, as an African child, I understand this. Another person may say, guys, you've got a date, you need to have transitioned. I am saying, yes, we do have a date, but we've got livelihoods that are at risk, that you need to start moving through a conversation. Government, we know through the Presidential Council for Climate Change, was trying to do this. And we know because there are limited resources, they will never be able to convince communities, right? Now, the context then comes in. We are in South Africa. We've got abundance of coal. And we've got shortage of resources to leapfrog us from where we are to be where we need to be in 2050, which means we've got to live with a dual power system that still is reliant on coal and as we transition renewable energy. That for me is the reality of the matter. We should not be emotional about it. We must be realistic about it. I'm a scientist. I come from an environmental background, but I know this fact that we still have a fleet of coal power stations that can still supply power in this country for much longer. But the pace at which we then transition to renewable energy also has got to be picked up. So that is the conversation we need to have with the communities to say, coal is not going to be always on the ground, yes, but we are not going to be standing still. We will have to transition, but do that in a respectful manner. Do that without scaring people. I don't like what I've been seeing. Where people are being told that, they are going to die. This mining industry is killing people. I mean, to a point of propaganda sometimes. So we need to respect people. We need to speak their language. Invest in engaging them. Again, this thing of thinking that we are going to put a little shop for them here, the spaza shop there, a little thing there, and you go on. It's not going to work. We need sustainable solutions for people. Things that work. I'm going to overlay something else for the global south in general now to say, if we still expect to borrow money capital at the levels which we are.
Yeah.
As if we are in the north. The speed of transitioning is going to be unjust.
Yeah.
The speed of saying this solar panel that we are getting in South Africa, we still buy it and import it. It's going to take forever. So we need to look at the transition with realism that we are in Africa. The speed of transition can never be the same as the speed of transition as we've seen it in Europe.
Yeah.
There are lessons and mistakes Europe have made in transitioning where they did things too quickly, but obviously they've mended it over time.
Yeah.
We cannot repeat those mistakes, and we are not going to be a coalless country.
Yes.
I can just assure you, we are not going to be a coalless country for some time.
Yeah.
So we need to engage people with the time we have. That's just all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
You know, companies will have money to invest. Whenever you want money from us as the industry, we have always contributed. So let's not bring this thing as if the industry is not willing.
Yeah.
We are very willing, but there's realism at the same time. So that's really what I would say, is to say, let's engage people. Let's not scare people. Let's tell people the real story. Electricity will come from coal for some time, and there will be jobs from coal for some time. But the speed at which we pick up on the renewable energy side is where the problem is.
Yeah. Sure, Doc. You left Exxaro, having worked there for over 20 years. I mean, that's long service. And the reality is you cannot stay in a place for that long if all you've got to show for it is a paycheck. Maybe a reflection on some of the things that kept you at Exxaro, and for sure you'll keep that with you forever.
So Exxaro, that time when I entered was Kumba, is the best thing that has ever happened to me, ever in my life. So if I were to repeat that journey I would do it 15 times more.
Yeah.
And I really leave that organization with a feeling of being given an opportunity to contribute meaningfully in the economy of this country.
Yeah.
And taking everything I had. You know, I was, when I said to you, I walked in there in my 30s. And I said I was a CEO, I was going to be the CEO of the company. What it did for me was to prepare myself and be good for this company.
Sure.
So I found an organization where there was willingness, you know, to not see my gender.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And just see what my impact was. And I think for me that was the greatest positive that I picked up, because I never really also wore my gender on my face. I was very clear that I've come here to work. And I looked at what men were doing when they were the successful guys. And I said, what is it that they do? I'm going to also do the same. You know, they were my benchmark.
Sure.
And what I liked about Exxaro is the fact that when you did that, you equalized.
Yeah.
That's really what this organization had been about, just to give you the opportunity. Now, what is even for me more special is maybe if I was an Anglo-American, maybe this would not have happened.
Yeah.
I don't know, but when I looked at me being who I am and I saw, all right, the power lies where these engineers are, the mining guys are. I also want to go and be a miner, you know, but who is going to want to accept this? But I had already seen that they've tried to take certain men who had potential and introduce them into the ops. Also because at the time, the issue of diversity was a big deal, right?
Sure.
You know, equity candidates were critical in the mining environment. And as I say, I came in as the first senior black woman in Exxaro was me. Now, you look at that site and you see, sure, it's lovely there. You know, I really want to be with them. You knock on the doors, talk to the leaders, and they see that you've got potential.
Sure.
And they say, well, let's try and see. That's what I like about this organization.
Yeah.
You come in as something else, and opportunities were all over the place, and you could just grab. And I was allowed to be, to be there with the miners, like I said. I went, joined men and women who've been doing this. That's what I like this organization about. Developing you. The sky is the limit. Go do it. You want to go to operations.
Right.
Hey, why not? Go do it because we think we've got potential. Why would you not like a place like that? Yeah? Why would you not be there for 22 years? But before I became go into operations, one thing that was so unbelievable for me was the organization's succession planning. It worked.
That was
amazing. It worked. I mean, you sit with your boss and says, what are your aspirations? I'm like, wow. It's like I'm in a toy shop. I can choose anything, you know? And then they will guide you, say, oh, but we don't think so. We think this. What about that? And if you are plotted to go into a position, they meant it. And if they said, look, okay, you are 4 in a cluster, you knew that you were going to compete. And if you don't get it this time, the next time. So that's why I like this organization.
Sure.
I didn't see why I must go anywhere else, where I'll still find the same challenges of people getting to know me. I felt respected. I felt that what I did was adding value in the organization. I couldn't care less about money, to be honest with you, because when I moved from the division safety, health and environment, became sustainability later, I wasn't the executive. But when I got the opportunity to go into ops, I had to demote myself 1 level down. And I stepped out of the executive, and I knew that my salary would probably remain stable for quite some time. And I was happy with that because the biggest thing for me was to go into ops. And that's really what mattered. And they've created the brand Nombasa. Or even, look, people got to know there's this woman who is now in operations, who's never been. Then my name got to be known. And it was now for me to step up to the name that the organization has really created for me. Why would you not like a place like that? And here I am 22 years later. I'm still very proud of what this organization called Exxaro is about and what it's still going to achieve in the future. The fact that I left under unfortunate circumstances is for me something out there which can never taint how great it is to work for that organization. And we used to say when we really feeling great, we would say it's the best place to be under the sun. And it was indeed.
Actually, talking about you leaving Exxaro, your resignation was preceded by suspension, legal proceedings. It was quite a complex process, but one could not shake off, at least I could not shake off your approach that almost said, however way we deal with this, our focus remains creating value, safe production, and customer value. And we cannot afford to derail focus. Was that it for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, as I say, once anything is about you, this is where you lose it. It must be about the organization, right?
Sure.
And the hierarchy for me of things is the organization, is bigger than me.
Yes.
Than my name, right? Because I carry my family, which is so dependent on me. So it was very important, for us to be adult enough to realize that if we continue out there in the sticks fighting, it's not going to be good for the real thing that matters the most, which is the organization. So I think for me, that preservation of the name, of what created us. I mean, like I said, for me, that company made me, it gave me all the opportunities. Why destroy it?
Yeah. Sure.
And I'll still stand there even today. Hence, I said to you that I could not allow myself to talk to anyone whilst I was hurting.
Yeah.
I couldn't, because you are spewing all the poison and the blood all over the place, trying to get people to side with you for something that's really, when you look at it a few years down the line, it won't be important. But the organization will remain.
Sure.
So for me, that was really what was important. Yes, the whole idea of, wow, I'm walking away from something that I know.
Yeah.
I wish I could have stayed longer, because I prepared myself to be a CEO over many years. I felt it as I walked into the organization. I still grieve that I'm not there anymore, because I wanted to see, to some extent, some of the dreams coming through.
Sure.
But I'm watching it from a distance. I'm seeing great people I've left behind. With the new leader that has come in, surely they'll move forward. With what we had built in the organization, with the previous CEOs, it can only be a success story. So if you look at that, it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
So you've got to move aside so that you don't become a stumbling block as well in terms of progressing this wonderful organization. So yeah, that's really for me, this the story.
Sure. When these things happen, Doc, and I'm talking about your resignation, I mean, you're a CEO. These news become very big. It's global, and can potentially be impactful in a negative way if it's not managed correctly.
Absolutely.
How important is it? Because I know you are still very careful about what you say, when you say, how you say. And I think it's quite important for leaders. How important is it to manage responses and information as leaders in organization, depending what pans out differently for everyone? How important is that?
It is very critical.
Sure.
Because remember, these organizations are not ours. We manage them for the shareholders, right? And the shareholders have really put in their capital, to grow their cash in this organization. And if you are not transparent about what you're doing, I'm not sure what you are wishing for yourselves and the future of the organization. Hence, in my opinion, having very clear governance system in the organization. I mean, coming from the government itself and all that red tape and all of it. So you're used to making sure that things are done in a certain way. But now you've come to an organization where you've got investors who need to understand that their resources are being managed in a responsible manner. And if there's a question being asked, you've got to be able to satisfy them. So flow of information, who says what, when, and how. It's critical. Again, you can't really, as I said to you, take a personal issue and then you frustrate the rest of the investors because of your issue, to the extent that we destroy the value of the organization. So it is very important to be transparent, to be responsible. It's not about how you feel. It's about what is responsible from a governance perspective. For instance, I am a stickler for transformation, but transformation must come also with responsible messages. You must be able to explain, why are you going to take, for instance, when I moved into as a chief of coal, it was unfortunate that most of our business units were led by white male. Great guys, people who taught me mining when I stepped off Exco. And having to look at these people and say, I'm going to go to Mr. X, who is a guru of plants, or who understands, mine planning or development or whatever area. as you would know it. And I must go to this gentleman and ask him to mentor somebody to take over from him. It's tough.
Sure.
Again, you've got to be open. You've got to be responsible. Information, that person must understand why are we doing it at this point in time and why him.
Yeah.
So you cannot be in this position if you've got weak knees.
Yeah.
Or weak feet. You've got to be strong on your feet in this position. Because at some point you're going to be criticized for certain things and you've got to be as calm as you can to explain, whether you're in front of the market, in front of the cameras. It's your responsibility as a boss. You are going to be expected to give the vision of where this company is going. Why are we diversifying? We've been miners of coal for years. Now you're telling us now that we must look at other commodities. You're talking about critical mineral. What the hell are you talking about? You've got to be able to explain it at the lowest level, thinking about the employees you're talking to at lower level, and then you still have got to talk to the highest level when you speak to your investors, and you still need to be convincing.
Sure.
You're going to be congratulated at some point. You've got to go and celebrate, but you've got to be measured because what you've achieved yesterday is gone. There's still going to be tomorrow. And you know what we say on safety, that we don't celebrate, for instance, safety success, because for as long as you're still operating, you can't say you've arrived. So the manner you carry yourself, how, what you say, when you say it, when you say sorry, when you've actually misinformed people, or explain, but treating everybody equally. When it comes to that. So organizations has to have that clear vision. Who is carrying it? You.
Yeah.
You've got to give it. It's your responsibility. You need to be able to practice. What's the best way to speak to people who want different things?
Sure.
You've got to go and sit with indunas. And they want you. You can't then delegate it when they say, we want to sit with the CEO. You've got to go and be sensitive of the environment where you're in. So as much as it's good to give information, you also need to be informed about what is required for all these different places or stakeholders that you engage. So that's really what the job of a CEO is.
Sure. Look, maybe describe your first 2-3 days, a week, a month outside of office after you left Exxaro. How was that like? And perhaps the journey to get yourself back up.
Look, I must say that it was numb, really. At the beginning, you don't feel that. It feels like, you're on leave.
Yeah.
But it dawns on you that, look, you are on your own. The life has shifted.
Sure.
But what it did for me was, as I say, I always have, maybe it's a personality thing, maybe because I meditate. I learn to meditate. I live mindfully.
Yeah, mindfulness.
There are very few scenarios that for me surprise me.
Yeah.
And I've got I'm very perceptive as a person, intuitive, I guess. Sometimes you can see when things are shifting and you then work with your mind.
Sure.
So I spent a lot of time in meditation, just to center myself.
Yeah.
Just to not cry everywhere I am, just not to be, a party pooper, so to speak, wherever you are in the family, but the family has got to move forward. I live with people. I had adopted my late sister's children.
Sure.
I didn't want my children to be miserable as well. So I had to really go deep within to find myself and reestablish my roots. And that was a very interesting exercise. I had to reflect on what's going to be the next. But I didn't rush it, to be honest with you. So that's why you will see there was probably a post which talked about being out there in the wilderness. It felt like so fresh, just walking into greener pastures and just saying, with this crisp air, Which side of the park must I go? So it becomes bigger. This whole space that I was wandering in became bigger and bigger until I felt so strong that I can step out again and begin to create a future.
Yeah.
And that's really where I am right now.
Sure.
Lots of reflection, but meditation, which becomes difficult when you're in pain.
Yeah.
You know, you close your eyes and your eyes start watering. You can't visualize what you want to visualize.
Sure.
But now I think back to balance.
Yeah.
Feeling very strong.
How well.
Ready to go.
Yeah. Look, Doc, when you grow in your career, I mean, when you let us up, you carry with your community, and that is your sponsors, your mentors, your mentees, and people who genuinely support you. Now, when you stepped up, you carried with you an entire community, you know, and I mean, when you stepped down, obviously the community is still there. Others unanswered questions, others disappointed, others still hopelessly following, you know, the leadership nuggets that you always share, and still really supporting. What would you say to that community?
Fortunately, I am a very open person, right?
Sure.
But firstly, basic principles of human beings. You will have people that like you.
Yeah.
And if you really work at it, you know, you can just try to make sure that people understand who you are, even if they don't like you. But they will say, okay, it's Doc. And we know that Doc believes in.
Yeah.
But the messages I've been giving them, those that I've interacted with, is that CEOs come and go.
Yeah.
Understand that.
Sure.
That which you have today will not be there tomorrow.
Sure.
It's just about, for me, the legacy we leave behind is, have I really led authentically such that people could see who I am? Have I led with purpose? Have I planted seeds in these human beings who have really been part of this success and my journey? And if my answer is yes,
done it,
then the walk is not difficult. So that is really what it is. And people were stunned. So many people didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
So many were scared to say what they wanted to say. And people sent me messages on DMs. And you'd be so surprised. Human beings know you. You think they don't. They know you. And they speak for you. Even if it's 3 of them at the beginning, because people just disappeared. They just went. It was a very lonely period.
Yeah.
And remember, I couldn't say anything. I couldn't speak to anyone about what was going on, except my family.
Yeah.
And talk to myself sometimes. So overall, I can say to you, people know that spiritually we're still connected.
Yeah.
And they will reach out with time in my new venture. Because that new venture is a movement of like-minded people who want to step forward together. And I can see they're coming back. I can see human beings are becoming human beings. And those who used to ask for advice are back and ask for advice. So it's all positivity.
Yeah. Let's talk about that new venture, Doc. I mean, you have been so busy with the next chapter, and that's inyathelo. Maybe talk to us about how that came about. What is it, and what we should expect in the world with inyathelo?
Well, fortunately, it's a new venture. It's a baby, really a baby.
Yeah.
But the exciting part for me is in its creation. If you look at my background, having talked to you about it, you know, I've worked in academia, and then I went into government policy, looking at how, you know, then an industry can take that legislation, convert it into actions. You see a difference, all of that. And then stepping into and looking at problems, obviously, from that perspective of government, and then coming into the mining industry.
Sure.
With all the experience I had over the years, in terms of looking at really how people lose lives in this environment, the struggles of women, the challenges of mining itself, and the challenges of leadership.
Yeah.
And in this period of meditation, I had already, established inyathelo platform last year already. And this was really a demand from young people in this sector to mentor them.
Yeah.
Now, I come out of Exxaro having not necessarily advanced inyathelo from that perspective.
Sure.
Because it was still very early days for it. Then I said, can I, in meditation, hoping to see what the path ought to be, what must we create? And I knew that this was, whatever you want to look at it, hence it's called inyathelo. It's a bold step.
Sure.
Because you're on your own.
Yeah.
And it becomes even bolder now that I'm outside of Exxaro. I'm really literally on my own.
Yeah.
And taking a bold step forward, again, a sign of success to say, of the many problems that I've observed, where is my meditation and the universe directing me to within my capabilities? And starting with the first leg of it, which is really to grow this need to give back.
Sure.
From this demand, can you help us stand up? Can you mentor me? And when you listen, I can't speak publicly. I'm scared. People are, I think that I'm being overlooked. All the things that hold people back. Which are easy to solve.
Yeah.
The insecurities, women, the way they look at themselves in the industry, equally men. There are men that are vulnerable. So the whole inyathelo Academy took shape around it. So that is one part for me, where the training and doing group conversations, which we term emthonjeni conversation. So sinyathelo emthonjeni, that is now we go to where we can drink. So that is one part.
Yeah.
The second leg for me is that of having seen the challenges of mining and say, I've seen digital solutions solve or at least close the gap, whether it's in efficiencies, safety, productivity. There are problems in the operational side of mining that need digital solutions. So there's this digital platform that we're creating. And I'm in conversations with different companies. One that I may have to partner with to actually make these digital solutions a reality. Then the third aspect is my love, which is now mining. I love mining. I still want to invest my little pennies, and whoever is able to extend their support for my contribution to still be seen and felt in mining. So I will invest in mining projects. People invite me these days to come and look at different things.
Oh, yes.
Some are too big, some are too small, and we're still finding our feet. And we will talk about inyathelo with time, but I've been busy.
Yeah.
And it's very exciting that you are able to say it's not just South African problems that we need to solve. South Africa is where we start, but we've got to look right through the continent because the similar challenges we have, whether it's digital platforms, whether it's in this blight of leadership, and that's where we create very special. I talk organic leadership. I talk own DNA leadership, which is different because I've learned it from my own being that without emulating anybody else, by just understanding what is there and bringing myself to it, I can lead better. And I want others to feel this, that you don't need to get a book for you to lead. You need to be here fully and then bring the best from within of yourself. And that for me has been my go-to place in the years that I've been a leader. I've been so unique from many other leaders. That's why if you see me dance, I dance. I love to dance. I could be stopping, from here, I can be walking into this house and some wonderful song, I'm going to be there and I'm going to dance like you won't believe it, like there's no tomorrow. And I can walk into the next room. There's a serious conversation and I'm there. There's nothing wrong with me. But there are people when they look at you and say, wow, is she crazy? Why is she busy,
an entire CEO dancing.
She dances everywhere she goes. That's me. I get the best out of myself when I apply the best that's in me at the particular time. And I've loved it.
You've put it so nicely. And you say you can't be perfect.
Yes.
But you can be authentically you and lead from inside out with the resources that are internally from within.
Yes.
Why is it important for leaders to get that? It's a powerful quote. It's been my go-to for a while. But why is it so important for leaders to understand you just can't be perfect?
Absolutely. Who is perfect?
Yeah.
You see, maybe God is perfect. Yeah. That is a fallacy, really. If you're going, because the people you lead are going to see through you.
Yeah.
Because you become fake. How I've been amazed by employees who could tell who of us in the executive is more fake than the other. It's amazing,
Yeah.
So it's better to be you.
Yeah.
Because that's the most comfortable position of being.
Yeah.
You don't have to shift.
Mm-mm.
But this is why I'm saying you've got your own DNA can help you lead.
Sure.
Because you're being organic.
Sure.
Right? And that's why I use nature sometimes. Because you find trees of the same species. Doesn't look the same, but they play the role that they need to play as trees, right? We all eat apples, but they don't come from the same tree. They come from different trees, but it's still an apple. Another one from a different part of the continent is going to take longer. Others are green. Others have got striped red or whatever. They're called different things. But the role that they play, very much the same in this body. Why do it in an uncomfortable position? When you've got all your resources, right? When you're authentic, the next person you lead becomes authentic. If you know what to say, I didn't think about this. How did we get here, guys? Let's have some dance here. People become human beings. It's amazing. I just love the setup where there are people because you connect with them. You just look at them and you're there fully with them. People love that. As I said to you, you meet a person, you know their name, you understand who they are and what they do, and you are part of it. As I say, the one thing I enjoy the most when I led, as I was the regional manager and I used to go underground, was to go wash off and finish and go and sit with my mine overseers out there. They used to have a group on Fridays and they eat mealies. I wanted to sit with them. What's wrong with that? You're human. Because you learn so much about what matters to these people the most. And you integrate it in your leadership. That's why it's important.
Look, Doc, thank you so much for sharing your insights. But I'm also going to say this to you. Your presence was felt throughout the industry. You had this vibrating impact that even went beyond people who worked in your organization. I'm telling you, that bus that was in Belfast. We knew. I promise you. At the station, we always knew because we've seen you. You knew your people by name. You attended to the big and the small. The support you had for graduates was so undeniable. You supported, you developed, you inspired, and you impacted so many, and you served with diligence. So you're right, the CEOs come and go, but the impact lives on.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Done,
really, that's really so humbling. Yeah. Really appreciate. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Mafanalo.
Dr. Nombasa's contributions to the industry has left an indelible mark that extends far beyond corporate boardrooms, because true impact isn't just measured by a turner, but by transformative influence one brings to an industry poised for change. I hope her journey has inspired you to make your own mark in mining. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye and God bless.